Hello everyone, Fanta here, you're watching FANTAVISION, and today I am discussing Starfield. Just like everybody else on the YouTube platform who covers video games, I am talking about Starfield. Why? Because I feel like there is this interesting discussion going on about it where a number of people are talking about how the first 4 to 12 hours suck when it comes to Starfield, but then after that, it's amazing. Now, this type of argument has gone on for a very long time with plenty of other games. Warframe is one of them, and plenty of other MMOs are in the same boat when it comes to this many hours, not great. But if you stick through, it'll be fantastic. Now, I would argue, does that make it a good game if it requires that many hours? And that's almost an argument of its own, but let's take a look at why people are saying that about Starfield, and is that the case? Now, of course, this is very subjective, but I kind of understand where people are coming from. And let's take a look at why they could be saying that. And I think that reason starts with the game just feels like a Bethesda game. That's the number one thing that I think people are being put off by. Maybe they have gotten sick of the Bethesda style of gameplay. They wanted something new. They thought this was going to be the game where they change the formula, they do something different, and it's not. It is a Bethesda game through and through. Now, all of its flaws and all of the great things about Bethesda games are here. And if you're not a Bethesda fan, this is not going to change your mind. I have a big feeling, because the quests feel the same, the dialogue feels the same. The way the inventory works, which is terrible, by the way, is the same. There's just so many similarities between this and all those other games, including the engine. So if you didn't like the way that the characters looked in the older games, you're not going to like it with this one. Another thing is the graphics. They're very inconsistent. The graphics are incredibly inconsistent because there are lots of planets, stations, places, items, weapons, so many ships. Those all look phenomenal. But the character models, some of the character models, especially the citizens, which is another big disappointment, the fact that there are so many people that are just nothing. They're just clutter. And they're just citizens that do nothing but take up space and look like, oh, this place is populated. They look terrible. It looks like no time was put into them at all, especially in some of the lighting. And then they have this weird thing where they will follow you with their eyes as you walk past them. Look at every motherfucker looks at me. The way they look too, like their fucking eyes, they're just like, this is the most unsettling game. They feel very dead. They don't feel alive. They don't feel anything like what was promised back in Oblivion, when Bethesda said that every single person had their own path, their own schedule. It was this radiant NPC system that just got thrown out the window, and this would have been the perfect time to implement it.
I think the big thing is the AI we have in the game. We designed this system, Radiant AI, that allows the people in the world to react really intelligently, and they sort of have their own goals, so they can look at their environment around them and decide how they want to accomplish them.
Our NPCs exist no matter if you're there or not. They're doing what they're supposed to do.
Sorry, can't talk.
I don't care if they're living in an apartment complex or something off to the side, just please have them do something, live some sort of life, and not just be citizen, because it's kind of lame. Also, when Bethesda wants to first introduce the player to their games, they have the opening reveal shot after the initial introduction. Almost all the games do this, and this game is no exception, except for instead of opening to this beautiful lake or an amazing forest with a path that leads you directly to the city they want you to go, it instead opens to this dusty ass landscape of this planet, and it's just ugly. I mean, the graphics aren't bad on the planet, it's just what they are showing you doesn't quite capture what you're going to experience for the rest of the game. I don't understand why they picked this planet as the starting planet, but it's a disappointment because that opening scene in Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3 is just this, wow, this is what I'm going to be experiencing for the rest of my gameplay, and this just is dust and boring. And then the first city you go to looks terrible. New Atlantis is the worst city I've come across so far in terms of graphics, and the way it's laid out is just terrible. And then it has a this subway system type thing, but instead of showing you traveling in it or anything like that, or giving you the option of watching you travel in it, you just go into it and then you're teleported. It's just another fast travel thing. And that's another reason why people are put off by this game, is the fact that the space travel is not space travel in the way you think it would be. When I saw this game first announced and they talked about how many planets there were and how you have your own ship, your mind immediately thinks, oh, I'm going to pilot that ship, right? I'm going to fly to those planets, right? I'm going to land on those planets, right? Wrong. Each planet is essentially a map with a orbiting zone around it, disconnected from all of the other planets. There's just a bunch of floating maps out there that are connected by fast travel points with orbiting zones outside of those maps. You can't go from the orbiting zone and then land onto the planet yourself. You can't pick where you want to land on the planet. You have to land at these exact explicit places that you can. Like the place where the game gives you an option to land. It's not No Man's Sky where you jump in, jump out, and then fly to another planet. It is loading screen, now you're in orbit, now you're landing. And you can even skip all of that. I can be inside of a building and I can fast travel to a landing spot on another planet and just immediately just be there. And I'm just landing my ship. I mean, it doesn't bring you the immersion that I feel like a lot of people were really looking forward to, what I was looking forward to. And that's, so far, those reasons alone are a huge reason why people are saying the first 4 to 12 hours suck, and then you'll start to like it. And I think people are saying that specifically because those reasons initially keep you and make you disappointed for that many hours, and then you kind of just accept the fact that this is another Bethesda game, and Bethesda games are fun, so you just start having fun. But that initial disappointment, I would argue, is still incredibly valid, and is very valid criticism of the game itself, and the fact that it is just Fallout 4 in space is very disappointing. I'm having a really fun time with it now, again, after my first 4 or 5 hours of just brute forcing my way through the disappointment. And then now I'm having fun with the quests. I'm enjoying the characters. I like the different interactions. I like the random events. I like the different planets and what's going on. I like scanning planets. I like doing all these different activities. But I still, in the back of my mind, can't help but wonder what this game would have been like if it had reached its full potential. And I think its full potential would have been absolutely incredible. Because when I played Skyrim the way that most people do, and the way that I'm playing Starfield, because in Starfield you don't have a choice, where you're just fast traveling around everywhere, doing what's convenient. You know, the game is fun, but when I started playing survival mode after the Anniversary Edition came out, where you can't fast travel, it felt like a completely different game, and the immersion was so much richer, and the game experience was so much better because I couldn't just teleport wherever I wanted. It was a trek. It was an adventure between towns, between quests, and it felt like I was in the world of Skyrim. You will never get that feeling with Starfield. You don't even have that option. The game forces you to use the fast travels, and that's it. And that makes me so sad. If they had some sort of traversal, or if they had shrunk the size of the universe, or made it so you could somehow fly around, but also if you want to use like, light speed or whatever, like in Star Wars, to jump there, that is an option. That'd be phenomenal. That would be the way to do it. But unfortunately, the way they do it now is it's just floating maps out there with orbital maps on the outside. Such a shame. But that being said, the amount of quests in the game are just absurd. So real quick, okay, so that was all the reasons why the first 4 to 12 hours are boring for a lot of people, including myself. Does that make it a bad game? For a lot of people, it will, because they don't have that amount of time to brute force their way through it. And I completely respect their opinion. Us on the other side, it's fun. Because again, Bethesda games are just fun if you like that core gameplay loop that they have. And I do. So if you like that, you will like this. If you don't, you won't like this. It's that simple. And like I said, I think I like the game now. It did take all that time to get past the disappointment. I like the ship. It's cool. I wish I could fly it more than just out there orbiting. I like that you can build your own ship. I like all the different weapon customization. I haven't gotten into that yet, but it seems very expansive. There's lots of different crafting systems. I don't know when I'll get the time to touch those, but at some point, the different factions are fun to play around with. There's lots of things to do. This is a time sink for sure. And, honestly, I feel like I'd be in the other camp of not liking this game if I didn't have this video to make, because I wouldn't have made it through the first 4 hours. I would have played an hour or two, gone, this game's boring, and I would have moved on. But because I want to make this video, I brute forced my way through it, and here I am. I'm having fun. I think the combat is the main reason why I've really gotten into this game, because it just feels really good. And the weapon variety is crazy. There's so many different calibers of ammo, which is also kind of strange that there's so many different types of guns and ammo. So I have to have so many different types of guns and ammo in my inventory in case I run out of ammo for a specific type of gun. And then you run into the weird shopkeeper problem that exists in all the other Bethesda games. But those made sense, actually, because, yeah, they got limited money in Skyrim because it's like medieval ages or whatever. Fallout makes sense too, a post-apocalypse era. Supplies are short. This is in space. This is in the future. Why does this kiosk that should be hooked up to a infinite bank account, or at least a massive bank account, and all these different shopkeepers, why do they only have $5,000 on hand? I don't understand. Why can't I just sell all my things to one thing? Why do I have to do this weird little tour, sell everything, and then they're all out of money, and then go to somewhere else to sell the rest, or wait for those vendors to somehow magically get their $5,000 back? I hate that. I hate that about this game. I hate all the minor inconveniences. And that's another reason why I'm sure a lot of people say they got bored. There's no maps in cities. What? There's no list of all of the major cities as well in your star map, so you just have to find those places again. You just have to remember where those are. Even though this is in the future, where I can already save my favorite destinations on my Google Maps or whatever, you can't do that in Starfield. You have to find the specific place again and go there. You can't just pick a city from a list and go there. If you're already implementing a fast travel only system, make that system more convenient. I don't know why that's not there. Anyway, it would be cool if I had unlimited inventory. And it'd be cool if you could be a traveling merchant. It'd be cool if you could just do all these different things and be even more immersed. And I know you can be a pirate and you can be a ranger, which I picked being a ranger because being like a ranger in space, it's like Firefly. That's pretty cool. But there's just so many different things that they could have upgraded about old Bethesda games into this new one, and I wish they had. Anyway, I've already talked longer than I wanted to. I wanted to make this a little bit shorter. At some point, maybe I'll do a full review on this game. But my overall take is I understand why people are bored. I completely get it. I was too. And I also understand the people that really love it. I don't think it's a 0 out of 10. I don't think it's a 5 out of 10. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10. I think it's a solid straight 7 out of 10 so far from what I've played. And that's fine, you know? It doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10 to be a fun game. It doesn't have to be a great game to be a fun game. I'm fine with whatever you think about it, but let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. How do you feel about Starfield so far, whether you've just watched other people play it or you've played it yourself? I'd love to hear what you have to say. Oh, and then a side note, it's absolute bullshit that people had to pay $100 to play this early. That should have just been the release date. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Of course, please do like the video if you guys liked it. Subscribe for more content. And as always, have a fantastic day. See you, everybody.